All righty. So welcome everyone to our joint health and balance class. So no assessments today. Just, a full session. We'll start on the chair. We'll get on our feet and do some stretching, some balance work. Most of the balance work is going to happen on the standing position or on the floor. So usually when we stretch, I like going barefoot. So we're just gonna adjust this. I always think this laptop's gonna tip over and it so okay. Charge my phone. All right. So let's go ahead and start the session. I always put this under yoga. So good morning, Doris. So let's go ahead and begin by looking left to right, just gently. Left to right, up and down. So try to get as much range of motion as possible. Bringing that chin down and all the way up. All right, we're gonna break up our neck stretches a little bit just so we could work on our shoulders as well. I feel like when we do all the neck stretches all at once, you could get a little sore. And I definitely feel that when we do, like 10 shoulder stretches, my shoulder sometimes feels a little bit more tiresome than when I started. We're just trying to stretch them out. Does anyone wear compression sleeves when they go walking or just to make their legs feel a little bit more comfortable? So let's bring that right arm across. I had these really fancy ones that were pretty expensive. They're about $60 for the pair, and they cover from right below the knee to right at the ankle. Because I've always dealt with really tight calves. Switch. So, anyways, last year when I was competing on those obstacle races, I wore them, and one of the obstacles, it was a rope climb. You pretty much had to hold on to a rope with your hands and with your ankles and kind of pull yourself to the other end. And so, anyways, I got some rope burn on my calves, and that tore through the sleeves. And let's bring that arm back, drop that hand, and a little bit of pressure on that elbow down. So, anyways, these compression sleeves, with any type of damage to them, it kind of disturbs the flow of what they're made for. So with the burn from the rope, there's some damage to the sleeve. So there's like these little holes in there, but it was still tight enough that it could help me when I would wear them. So, anyways, let's switch. I've been wearing them. I only have one. So if you would see me running around because the other sleeve got destroyed, so only one survived from the rope. So if you would see me running on the street, you would just see me pretty much, it looked like I was wearing a long black sock on one leg and the other leg I wasn't because it was just one sleeve. Um, so anyways, that sleeve had multiple little holes. So this morning, and again, they're really tight. So sit on your left hand, bring your right hand over, and allow that elbow to drop. So this morning I'm trying to put them on, and yeah, as since they're tight, it's there's pretty much a method to putting on these sleeves on. And of course, my heel caught one of the little holes, and as I'm lifting the sleeve, the whole thing just like ripped apart. So yeah, so now I gotta drop another $60 on a pair of like tight socks for my runs. I'm pretty bummed about that. I have another pair, but they're not as tight, and I could feel the difference. But yeah, I mean it helps out. They're pretty much like really fancy diabetic socks. If that makes sense. Yeah, I was went for a run this morning. Got up at 4:40, and yeah, it's nice. It was dark, but it was nice. So, anyone work out this morning, or the gym, or Tai Chi, or a walk? Good. Oh,
I
let's look
worked
left.
out yesterday with your video recording, and I think I overdid it.
What was there a specific movement? Add a little bit of pressure here on your right side.
I think it was just me not positioning my body correctly with the weights. I got
Okay.
a knot in the back of my head,
Uh,
in my back.
I yeah, it's I get more upset when let's switch, look right. That almost happened. Well, that did happen to me yesterday. Um, I went for a run and I felt great. And then when I was putting Julian on the car seat, I think, just the lifting the 40-pound toddler and adjusting him and being like in a weird angle, I think I tweaked my neck. And then it was pretty sensitive for like the next like 5 or 6 hours. Um, Felt better today, but yeah, I know. It's any back or neck stuff just kind of ruins your day sometimes. Um, so we did our neck circles. Did we do our neck circles? No, we didn't. So let's go gently around. Well, I hope you feel better now after this class. I know sometimes there could be some stretches that can make it feel worse, so just be mindful of that. Ella, you unmuted yourself for a minute, for a second. Did you go for a walk?
I have Tai Chi on Mondays and
Oh,
Wednesdays at 7. So I go to class in Cerritos.
nice.
And then I scamper home to the Zoom class. So sometimes I'm
Yeah.
late if there's traffic.
Switch.
And I like to walk at 6, but it was too dark today. It was
Yeah,
really
I like how
cloudy or
quiet it is.
overcast or something before my 7 o'clock class. So I only got in probably a mile maybe.
Oh, okay.
I walk in the park over there um, before class if it's light outside.
What park?
It's what is it? Ely Park on
Mhm.
South Street in Ely.
Okay, let's go ahead and bring your palms down to your side, and we're gonna tap our opposite shoulder. Okay.
I
Yeah.
did half of the video on Monday, and I'm thinking that today is Monday.
Oh man, those are the best days, man. You
Yes.
just don't know what day it is. That happens to me, I feel like in December and winter break. That always, I'm like, what day is it? I have no routine right now. Let's rotate. So flip your hands. And then, oh, I'm done. Yeah, I like running in the morning, like to actually be done with my run before like 6:30. I feel like once it's approaching closer to 7, it's pretty busy, and uh at least once a week it's been happening like once a week. I can't, I gotta make that eye contact with drivers because let's do bring your elbows in front of you, and then we're just gonna go up and down. because you can't just assume that they see you, especially, let's say you're going east, like east on a road, okay? And so you're going east and you're walking or drive or running on, and you should be riding, walking or running like on the opposite side of, when traffic's coming. So yeah, so I see every car that's coming towards me. If I see someone swerving or something, it gives me a little bit of time to react. So, anyways, let's bring our elbows to our side here and then raise them up. So yeah, but every car that's coming from like north and it's turning west, they're always looking at traffic that's coming from the east. They're never looking or expecting anything from the west side. And yeah, there's too many times where, I think if I just assume that they see me, it's just waiting for an accident. So I always have to, wait and make sure, or I just either go behind that car because yeah, there's like it's happened like once a week where it's been a close call. And it's usually closer to like 7 a.m., between 7 and like 8 a.m. when that happens. But yeah, not my favorite thing to do. Let's bring that arm up, drop that arm. But then I try to run on the bike path because I don't like waiting at stoplights too much. And there's no interruptions at the bike path. But yeah, sometimes it's just too dark in there and there's no lights and it's just yeah, could be all types of folks in the riverbed sometimes. So that's also another hazard. And switch. So I'm just keeping my hand here on my shoulder just to, you know, make me aware that my arm isn't dropping. Sometimes if you're not paying attention, you could be down here, but we want to keep that elbow up. All right, let's go ahead, get on our feet. We'll do a little bit of balance work while we're standing. You have your water nearby. All right, and we'll start off pretty light. So we're just gonna go slow, high knee marches. So bring your knee as high as you can. If your balance isn't quite there yet, then you could just march a little bit faster. And the better balance you have, the slower you could bring that knee up. All right, we're gonna do a quad stretch. So if you want to use a counter or just work on your balance, you can. So I'm gonna grab right above my ankle. I don't want to grab my foot. I want to grab my ankle right above it. And then just pull back. And remember, if you're trying to work on your balance, then you could always just hover your hand over the counter. And when you need a little bit of assistance, just tap it. Maybe just rest one finger on it. Switch. Very good. We're gonna do a little hamstring stretch. So just slide your hands down your side, bring your hips down, grab a hold of your ankles, and just bring your hips up and back down, up, down, up. These are popping a lot, you know. All right, very good. Come up. Let's go white stance. And then just big hula hoops. Just exaggerate the movement. So I signed up for an ultra marathon. I signed up for the Mammoth Ultra Marathon in late September switch. So the ultra marathon distance is 50 kilometers, which is 31 miles. So it's 5 miles longer than a marathon. But right now there's limited spots. So right now I'm 62nd on the waiting list. So we'll see. I was 82nd on Saturday and now I'm 62nd. So at this rate, I actually might get in. So a little nervous, but we'll see. Very good. All right, let's go ahead and we're gonna walk the tightrope. So again, this is one of our pre-assessment exercises. So this is one that we want to work on. So again, just you could 1 foot at a time. The slower you do it, actually could be the more challenging. You might think that's counterintuitive, but no, it's the faster you walk, you don't have to depend on your balance so much. So it's when you're going slower. And let's do another one. But that first round was pretty easy. You could do it just on your forefoot, so heels off the ground. Then we'll go in reverse. So again, if you signed in a little late, we were doing re-enrollment for the summer from this class into the 3 summer classes. I'll send some information about that later today, but I have Anna, Cherise, Ella, Carmen, Terry, Olivia, Ms. Nguyen, Jan, and Mr. Ahmed. Okay, so Mr. Ahmed, did you also want to be enrolled in the Monday class? I just got you for this class. So let's do our standing Jane
Yes,
Fonda.
Monday class
Okay.
also. Monday and Wednesday.
Sounds good. Thank you. So again, just right here. This is another one that we're working on. So remember, you can always rest at the counter if you need to, and I know I saw some comments that and I appreciate you leaving your detailed results because some of you just said I was able to go 30 degrees and not the full elevated, the switch. So yeah, so the more details, the better. And then someone put, maybe, I'm not sure if it was you, Kathleen, but I was like, was she measuring with a protractor? Because I think on one leg it was like 30 degrees and the other leg was 35 degrees. I was like, that's very
That's the
detailed.
teacher in me. Sorry.
I saw that. I was like, oh man, like she really knows her
Yeah.
angles. Oh, awesome. So yeah, so you probably noticed that you got a little bit more range of motion with the other leg. So very good. Let's have a seat. Let's let our legs rest a little bit. Let me put you for Monday, Mr. Ahmed. So grab some water if you need. We'll start back up. All right, so we need 20.
You have me on the list?
Oh, Diane,
Yes,
are you in my Monday class too?
yes, I am.
Do you want to be added there too as well?
Yes, please.
Okay, cool. I'm gonna add you to both. And then Mr. Ahmed and Diane, can you just type that in on the chat? Just put please re-enroll me because I'm gonna just to document. Sometimes they might ask like, oh well, send us, verification that they actually wanted to be in there. So I'm just gonna take a screenshot of everyone's just approval. Right. So yeah, we need 20 people per class and we're at 18 for Monday and we are at 10 for Wednesday. So let's go ahead and do our cat stretching pose. Okay, so sit towards the front of the chair. Separate your legs a little bit. Reach up towards the ceiling. And then stretch all the way down. And back. Again, repeat. Really stretch out as far as you can. Let's do 4 more. Reach from the top, bottom. Again. 2 more. Reach all the way down. Up. Awesome. All right. Oh, one more from this angle. So kind of clench your fists together, put them in front of you, look down and punch in front. Okay, so come back. So again, the looking down is going to allow your arms to go a little bit more forward. So look down and punch. Reset. Repeat. Again. Again. And one more. Oof. Very good. All right. Let's go ahead and do our hip opener. So right leg, bring that out. Apply a little bit of pressure there on your knee just to straighten out that leg. So left leg should be facing the screen. Right leg is as far back. If you're a little bit more engaged and focused, you could probably get this leg to go a little bit further. I think when we're a little disengaged, we don't get that full stretch. So with every deep breath, you might get a little bit more. Switch. Reset. We're gonna come back and go see shoulder circles. So just drop your arms down, bring the shoulders up, forward, down, and back. Let's just repeat. All right, reverse. Very good. All right, we'll work a little bit on our forearm. So you could either bring your arm forward and then just push down on your wrist, or you could just rest it on your lap and just make sure that wrist goes past your knee and just apply a little bit of pressure. And you could push back up just so we feel that stretch in your forearm and allow it to collapse. With a little bit of pressure downwards as you're bringing that hand up. There you go. And switch. Right, so that left wrist collapses and pushes down. And then come up. And allow that wrist to collapse. Very good. Just a little bit of some hand stretching. So bring each finger to the center of your hand. So yeah, so I think with the new position at the other college, I think they said if enrollment for the summer goes well, they may give me a couple classes too for the fall. And as you folks know, in the fall and in the spring, we only meet Monday and Wednesday. All right, now let's do each knuckle or each finger by bending each knuckle, if that makes sense. So just do one finger at a time, but bend each knuckle. So yeah, so I kind of mentioned my schedule here that we just meet Mondays and Wednesdays. So I think they're gonna try to give me some courses for Tuesday and Thursday. So in case those days work out for you in the fall, that could be an option as well. Make a fist, open, separate the fingers away from each other. Open. Right, left hand, so each finger bring to the center of your hand. So try not to bend the fingers, working on that joint that connects the finger to the wrist. Right, now let's bend each knuckle of each finger. And it just takes a little bit more engagement. Right, and then make a fist and separate your hand. Yeah, so separate your fingers. So working on stretching the tendons, ligaments between each finger. And just close, open, close, open. Okay. Let's go ahead and do our piriformis stretch. So right ankle on that left knee. Right ankle on that left knee. Oof. And just kind of rest your arm on that left knee because we want to apply a little bit of pressure downwards. All right, now bring that knee and close to your chest and just hug it out over here. Heidi, is that a picture in your background that you took from when you went to Guatemala?
It's a Tikal.
Okay.
Yeah, Tikal in Guatemala. Correct. Yeah, it's one of those Mayan pyramid.
Yep.
That's when I injured my knee. Yeah, and I had to go through some physical therapy, but now I think I'm okay. Yeah, that's why I'm in this class to learn about
Yeah. Good.
yeah,
Yeah.
joint health.
Yeah, no, I I'm glad you're here. Because yeah, you're one of our new students. Most of the folks here have been with me for a semester. I know some have been with me for a few years now. I think Ella has been with me since the start, since 2020. So about 6 years. Ella, we need to celebrate. I know some of you have been with me for like 3, 4, 5 years. Debbie, you're probably like 4 or 5 years, right, with me? Christian, Charisse as well. So Terry, I know you've been there. Carmen, what we're going on like 3, maybe 4. Um,
Yeah, about that. Yeah. Long
yeah,
time ago.
yeah. Miss Ramit, I know probably about 3 or 4 years. Doris, maybe like 2 or 3. Um,
You
Nelly, I
were
know.
a carefree bachelor eating a lot of tilapia.
Yes, yes. I thought I was gonna be this massive bodybuilder. Um, good thing I didn't go that route because I think some of you may remember I had that online coach and I asked him, hey, he asked me what my goals were, and I showed him a picture of, this fitness person, and I was like, I kind of want to look like that, and this is my time frame. I wasn't like, I want to look like this person in 2 months. I was like, if I look like that in like 4 or 5 years, like I'd be happy. Let's go ahead and then just give yourself some space, recline back, bring your knee up to your chest, and then just extend that lower leg. You're gonna teach this class, Debbie. You were doing this stretch before I even said it. So, yeah. So he was like, okay, that's we could do that. And then he was like, so do you want to do it with steroids or without steroids? And that's when I was like, okay, I guess I gotta change of coach now. So that tilapia journey only lasted, I think, about 6 or 7 months at Switch. So kind of glad I'm not. I was getting sick of tilapia and potatoes for breakfast. Um, yeah, that was 4 or 5 times a day I was having that. So my apartment was smelling like like Red Lobster, I guess. All right. Very good. All right, so we're gonna go with our chair squats, okay? So we'll do regular chair squats. I know some of you are advanced enough to do these, but again, it's just a good warm up, and then we'll work on our single leg. Okay, so let's do about 12 of these. So no hands, just come up, sit back down, make sure your chair doesn't roll out behind you. So yeah, Heidi, I was gonna say that most of the stretches and exercises that I incorporate specifically for this class were from, I just rolled over from the time where I worked at a physical therapy office before I started teaching. So, and yeah, and I apply this to like my athletes that I coach and myself, and I'm feeling not the best or injured. So a lot of the exercises are for rehab from an injury to go into, your regular lifestyle again. So, and all right, we're gonna adjust, catch your breath a little bit. Yeah. I know some of you were with me when I first introduced Julian to you folks when he was a week old, where I had to cancel class sessions for 3 days, and my my wife took 5 months off work, and then she was upset at me for taking 3 days off. I'm like, come on, let me just enjoy time with you guys for 3 days. Let's extend this right foot out. Okay, so you could go, the further it is from the chair, the more challenging it's gonna be. So you could be a little bit closer if you're quite not sure. You could be fully extended or you could be completely elevated. Okay, so we're gonna do 8 of these. So kind of just begin. So again, no hands. And I usually try to put all the pressure on this heel. Okay, not on this heel, on this heel right here. Okay, so I just try to stab the floor. And if we can't, if we quite can't do it yet, then just try to bring your heel that's extended a little bit closer, and that should make it a little bit easier. But yeah, I think I'll yeah, a lot of you have seen like that switch when you're ready. I've lived in like 3 different places since I started teaching these classes, and I think some of you have seen my journey. Definitely have more gray hairs than when I first started, I have to tell you that. When I feel confident, I try to lift that left leg. Let's do one more. All right. Very good. All right. And then this easy one right here, just calf raises, strengthening our lower legs. So just heel raises, calf raises, heel raises. And then Jeff, we've known you what, like maybe like 6 months to a year now? I think Wayne and Teresa about a year. Lisa, I think you've been with us, yeah, for a while. Yeah. Oh yeah, your last name has always stuck out to me, so I know you've been with us for a minute. Let's go with our toes. So now toe raises, that's working on our arches. So this is dorsiflexion. Dorsiflexion is just your toes coming up, closing that angle between your toes and your shin. This is one of my human anatomy vocabulary words. And then let's extend that, elevate that right foot, and then just do your ABCs, trace the letters of the alphabet. Left leg. So I've taken Julian to the arcade a few times, and he likes the claw machine, so that you have the joystick and it moves the claw and it grabs a toy and then you could win it. So he really enjoys those, and I like them because I'm actually okay at those. I usually win like every other time. So yesterday, we're messing around at home, and he has a lot of little plushies. So I told him, hey, let's play like that at home. And he's like, well, how are we gonna play? So now we're gonna work on our arches. So feet are flat, and then just pull your toes towards your heels, okay? Your feet are flat on the floor, pull your toes, working on your arches. So anyway, so I told him that my hand was gonna be the claw, and that my feet were gonna be, or that my left foot was gonna be the joystick, right? So of course he's like pushing my foot and pulling or turning it to the left or to the right, and then I'm controlling the claw, and then he drops it, and I'm trying to be realistic with him, so I like grab the plush firmly or sometimes loosely, and I drop it, and he's laughing, having a good time. But then I think I should have let him win a little bit more, because then he started getting more aggressive, and he was really pulling on my ankle. And at first it felt like a nice massage, and by the end my ankle was really sore. So I gotta be careful with how I play with him, because yeah, it felt like a nice massage at first, and then after I think I ended up feeling worse. Now we're gonna work on our metatarsals. Okay, so keeping our feet flat without curling our toes, try to pull your forefoot towards your heels. Okay, so this one's a little bit more challenging. It's gonna seem a little bit less engaged, so we'll try to do a visual. So I think Heidi, you're trying to look. So instead of doing this here with your feet, you're trying to do this. Okay, so it's going to be less movement. This is a little bit more obvious, but then this is really just working on your arches. So that's what we're trying to do with our foot. Right, so try to do that. All right, I know this is last minute, but if you happen to have a small object like a golf ball, maybe next week, you folks could find yourself one in the next week. So this would be kind of like a trigger point, you know, just a golf ball, and you would just push down on it with your feet and just give yourself like a gentle massage. So if you have something like that right now, if you your feet tend to get a little bit tender, sore from, you know, just walking around, this is something nice to have maybe next to your couch, next to your bed, and just roll out. But I should be doing this a little bit more, especially because I'm flat-footed. And then once you find a little spot that's a little tender, or maybe just spend a little bit more time on that area. And switch. So.
I hear like, are you familiar with the melt ball? That's exactly what it is.
The med ball?
Melt, yeah, melt, MELT.
No, I'm not familiar.
Oh, okay, that's the exercise. Yeah, I've been
Okay.
taking that class at the Y.
Oh, nice.
Uh-huh.
Okay. So you do stuff like this?
Yes.
Oh, good.
Uh-huh.
Good. Yeah. So, yeah, self massage. You just don't want to bruise yourself,
Mhm.
or sometimes when you have a pain, you don't want to massage directly into that area. So,
Right.
you want to do it around. But yeah, go for a walk around a golf ball, and I'm sure you'll find like 10 of them. So, that's your homework assignment for the week. All right, we're gonna put the chair away. We have a couple more stretches. Let's actually take like a 2-minute break. Grab your foam roller. Um, grab your foam roller and or a stick. It could be a stick or a broom, and we're just gonna do our shoulders and then a little bit more balance work. But I'll give you a minute to find that. So it could be a broom, an umbrella. We'll regroup right now. Some water. All right. If you're ready, we'll start with the shoulders. Let's go left to right. Bring that left shoulder up. So guide with your left shoulder and push with your right hand. Gain a little bit of stretch on that left side. All right, let's go 30 degrees forward. Mm. 60 degrees forward. All right, 90, so right in front of you. All right, let's go behind the back. So again, you're guiding with the left arm and pushing with the right. All right, let's go with the right hand now. So right hand is guiding, left arm is pushing. All right, 30 degrees forward. Sixty degrees forward. Ninety, right in front of you. Now towards the back. All right, now we're gonna grab our foam roller, go behind the back, up and down. Right now we're gonna lift. Alrighty, so last thing we're gonna do is gonna be a one-legged Romanian deadlift movement. So you could, if you have a dumbbell nearby, you could use a dumbbell. If you just want to use your own body weight, that's totally fine. But pretty much what we're gonna be doing, it's gonna be a variation of this movement here. So I'm just gonna keep my right leg back on my toes, and I'm just gonna slight bend at the knees and go down and up. Okay. If you could do that comfortably, then I want you to challenge yourself. So what you're gonna do is elevate that right leg and slowly go down and up. Okay, this is actually a great strength movement for your hamstring, but it's also working on your balance. Okay. So let's go ahead. Oh, and to even make it more challenging, I think we've done this before. So you're elevated. Right hand, you're holding the dumbbell. At the bottom position, you switch and then come up on your left. And then for the next one, you come down and then you switch at the bottom and come up. Okay. That's if you have a dumbbell. Okay. Otherwise, we're just going the up and down motion. So let's go ahead and do 10 on each leg and then we'll be done for today. Okay. So going down and then up. 1. 2. Whoop. Remember, if your balance isn't quite there, then you could always just drop your foot and tap your toe on the floor. 3. 4. 5. I'm going with 10 on each leg. 6. 7. 8. 9. Ooh, that leg is getting tired. And 10. Oof. All right, so get a little bit of a break. If you're barefoot like me and you're flat-footed like me, that arch is on fire right now. Okay. A little bit of a break, and then we're gonna switch to the right side, okay? So our last movement for today. All right, elevate that left leg now and then begin. So we're doing 10. 1. We'll swipe in at the knee. 2. 3. 4. 5. This would swing a lot better. 6. 7. Whoa, there I go. Jinx myself. 8. 9, and last one. 9, 10. All right, very good. All right, just relax your legs. Shake them off a little bit. All right, as we're closing off, you could just stand on your feet. We could do a little bit of just heel raises here as we close out. So yeah, so again, I'll send out an email later today with details for the summer classes. I'll have the schedule there. If you already confirmed with me, you should be good to go. You don't need to respond. So again, I'll repeat: Anna, Cherise, Ella, Carmen, Terry, Olivia, Miss Wynn, Jan, Miss Ramid, and Diane. If you wish to be re-enrolled and you're here right now, go ahead and confirm and just leave your name on the chat. But otherwise, that's all I got for today. Yeah, if I can't, if you're not on this list, then you'll have to re-enroll yourself in this. So any questions before we head out?
When,
Thank you.
Whoa. There's like 5 questions.
Enroll me for
Oh,
the
Debbie?
yeah.
Okay. So Debbie, yeah, just go on the chat and then just put enroll me, please. Yeah.
Okay.
And then anyone else?
Yeah, I have.
a question about when enrollment starts.
So enrollment should begin for the summer, I think in like 2 weeks or so.
Okay.
Maybe 3.
I-
Yeah.
I think I'm going to enroll myself because I don't want to overlap classes.
Yeah, no
Thank you.
problem.
Uh,
That
Yeah, in the summer, what time? This same time class?
Yeah, so for the classes, for the ones that are going to be rolled over from this class, they're all going to start at 10. So how it's going to work is the workout classes that are a little bit more, like our strength and conditioning class, those will always start at 9. So Monday through Saturday, those will go from 9 until 10. So if there's one day where you just, I don't feel like working out today, but I should be doing something, then come to the 10 o'clock class, because every day at 10.
Yeah, I
will be-
just enrolled in Monday, Tuesday, 10 to 11. Is that the course?
Yeah, it'll be 10 to 11. So
No, 9 to 10. No.
9 to 10 would be the ones for on the email that I sent on Monday. So yeah, so there's gonna be classes from 9 to 10 already, and I signed you up for those too.
I wanted 9 to 10 also.
Okay, I got you.
Okay.
Yep. Carmen.
Bye.
Hi, Carmen. All right, Debbie, you're good. All right.
Thank you.
Okay, folks.
You
Yeah,
don't
I'll stick
want to
around.
leave.
Bye,
you.
Boo. Thank you.
All right, bye, folks.
Thank
I'll be here if you have any
you.
questions.
Okay.
Hi, Debbie. You had a question?
No, I typed enter and it didn't take my message. So
Okay, no worries. Yeah, you're good.
I'll
Yeah.
enroll.
Yeah, I mean,
your
worst
email.
case scenario, yeah, if there's like, hey, did you confirm? And you just say yes, but that's it. So, all
Okay.
right. Bye, Debbie. Heidi, you're good?
Yes, I'm good. Thank
Okay.
you. So see
All
you
right,
next
folks.
Wednesday.
Yep, we'll do. All right, take care.
Mhm.
Okay,
Okay,
thank
you
you.
too.
Bye,
Bye
folks.
now. Bye.
Okay,
Bye.
see you on Wednesday.
Okay, Mr. Ahmed. Let me see.